sorry, on this test, what is the majority of it on? A bunch of formulas, right? What do you think half of your credit can be? Formulas. If you write down the formula, that's half of it already. If you get lost in the math somewhere, that's okay. But if you have the formula and you have it filled out correctly, you just got more than half of the points. Does that make sense? I'm trying to help you out. So, before we get to formulas, we got to remember this stuff up here. How do you name a polygon? What do you look at? Number of sides. Let me ask you something. What is the only thing you see so far? What's the only thing we can get from that shape?
Sides.
Number of sides. Okay, so count the number of sides.
10.
10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's the name of a 10-sided shape? It is a decagon.
And then that one has 5, that's a pentagon.
Yep. This one has 5-sided shape, pentagon. Okay? Get to know those. 3 through 12, get to know those. Okay? What about number 3 and 4, concave, convex? How do you know the difference? Concave goes inside the shape, it caves in. Okay, so if I extend one of these sides, what happens?
It goes through the shape.
It goes through the shape, so this one would be concave. Caves in, goes through the shape, concave. Okay, number 4, if I lengthen out all of these sides, do any of them go through the shape? No, so this one is convex. Questions with concave, convex? Okay. 5 and 6. It wants regular or not. There were 3 things you need for it to be regular. What was one of them?
The sides have to be the same.
All sides have to be the same. What was the other one?
Angles.
All angles have to be the same. What was another one?
Has to be convex.
Has to be convex. Okay. Number 5, does that one look regular?
No.
No, it looks wonky. Okay. Not all the side lengths are the same. What about number 6?
Yeah.
Does that one look regular?
It's convex.
Yep, it looks
Sides.
regular. What shape is that? It is a pentagon. Okay. 1 through 6, what am I going to call those? Starts with a G. Gimmes. 1 through 6 should be gimmes. Okay, there's no formula involved, nothing.
No.
Okay?
The actual math.
Now, when we get to 7 and 8, very important with this, we got to read directions. Okay, lots of directions on this test. We need to know what we're looking for. Okay, number 7 and 8, what does the directions tell us? Interior angle of the sum. It wants all the angles on the inside of the polygon. Does anyone remember what this formula is?
All I know is it's not.
It's like 3/6.
Why do you say that?
I don't remember. But all I remember.
Why do you say it's only to do with the sides? Is that the only thing we know?
Yeah.
It's the only thing we know. Good start.
You
How many
take-
sides we got?
You take the sides, you minus
5, 6. Yep,
Take the sides minus 2, then you.
getting there. N minus 2. Everyone write this down on your paper right next to those directions. N minus 2 times what?
360.
Other one. Times 180. Plug it in. Okay? N stands for the number of sides, so we do 6 minus 2 times 180.
That's 4.
Pause real quick. How many points would you get for just doing that? Half of it. Okay? Now we have to solve. What do we need to do first?
The order of operations.
Yep. Subtract first. 4. And then times 180. What do we get? 720. And it wants the interior angle sum. Keyword sum. So it wants all of the angles put together. So we don't need to do anything after that point. Okay, what about number 8? How many sides? 7. Plug it in. 7 minus 2 times 180. 5 times 180, what'd you say? 900. Good. Now, what does these directions say for 9 and 10?
Find the measure of 1 interior.
1 interior angle. How is that going to be different than what we just did?
Because it's only one.
It only wants one of them. Jameson, what'd you say? We're going to have to divide at the end. What's the formula we're going to use? Same thing, right? N minus 2
times 180.
times 180 and
Divided by 3.
divided by n, because it only wants one of them. Okay? So how many sides does number 9 have?
11.
Yep, I got 11. Plug in. So I have 11 minus 2 times 180 divided by n is 11. Okay, what do we do first?
We want to do the
Parentheses first, let's do the top. 11 minus 2 is 9 times 180. What do we do next?
you want to do 9 times 180
Multiply 9 times 180.
and divided by 11.
What's 9 times 180?
1620.
1,620. Last step.
Divided by 11.
Divide by 11. What do we get?
147.2.
147.2. That's the measure of one of those angles. What we found earlier on 7 and 8 was this number. That gave us all of the angles put together. So to find one of them, we just have to divide. Okay? Number 10, how many sides do we have? 5. Plug it in. 5 minus 2 times 180 divided by 5. Yep. So we get 3 times 180 divided by 5. Did anyone get a final answer yet?
108.
108? Good. Everyone got that formula written down?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Questions on interior angles before we move to exterior. Okay. Directions on 11 and 12. What is it looking for?
One exterior.
One exterior. What do we know about exterior angles? 360. So how do we find the measure of one of them?
Well, you just, same formula as the top, except replace 20 or 360 with that.
It is not the same formula as the top. We said all of them add up to what? 360. So if all of them add up to 360, how do we find one of them? Divide by the number of sides. Again, what's the only thing you can get from these two shapes right now?
Size.
The sides. How many sides does 11 have? 8. So I need to take 360 divided by
45.
8, which we get 45. So write this formula down off to the side. 360 divided by n. Write that off to the side, right by the directions. 12, how many sides does 12 have?
12.
12? What's this 12-sided shape called? Dodecagon, yep. So take 360 divided by 12. What'd you get?
30.
30? Good. We all got these formulas written down? Questions before we move on to area? When we get to area, what is important? What do you resort to when you get to this point?
You have to switch
Formula sheet. Okay? What's the first thing you need to ask yourself, though, on each problem?
the size. What do you want?
What shape is it? Yep. What shape do we have on number 13?
Square.
Square. I'm going to go to my formula sheet. I don't see square. What can it also be? Rectangle. Can also be a rectangle. What's the formula for area of a rectangle? A equals base times height. Yep, if you didn't know that, it's on here for you.
81.
Okay, notice what I just did. How many points would I get? I would get half already. Okay, now just plug in what you know. What's the base? 9. What's the height? 9. 9 times 9? 81. What do I have to have? Squared. Why is it squared? Because it's area. Yep, if you do not have the label, I will take points off. Okay, 14. What shape are we? Another rectangle or square. What formula am I going to use? Area equals base times height. Plug in what you know. What do we got? 7 times 7, which is 49 inches squared. Good. First, what do you ask yourself? What shape is it? What shape is it?
It's a
Rectangle. What's the formula for area of a rectangle?
base times height.
Base times height. Plug it in. We have 10 times 4.1.
41.
Area is 41.
Yards
Good. Okay. 16. Why do you say base times height? Because it's a rectangle. Yep. Area equals base times height. So you get 11.5 times 5.5. What do we get?
63.225.
63.25. There you go. Miles squared. Are we good with the base times height formula?
Yeah.
Okay. Now when we move to 17, can we still do base times height? No. Is it the same shape? No, so you cannot use the same formula. What shape is it? It's a triangle. Find triangle on your formula sheet. Anyone remember what it is? Yep. Base times height divided by 2. How many points would I just get right there? I would get half. Okay. So what's the base and the height? Pause. Don't answer that. How do I know which one's the base and the height? Right angle. It's not always going to be the bottom one, but find that right angle. The sides that are connected to it are your base and your height. So which value on that diagram do I not care about? 11. Scribble it out. Don't care about it. Now plug in what you know. What's the base? 12. What's the height?
6.3.
And then I have to remember to divide by 2. What do I do first? Multiply. 12 times 6.3.
7.7.
What's 12?
5.6.
Say that one more time. 75.6. Last step. Divide by 2. Area is
37.8.
thank you. 37.8 what? Inches squared. Good. All right. 18. What shape are we? It is a triangle. What's the formula? Yep. Looking at that diagram, what value do I not care about? 12. Why not? Because it has nothing to do with that right angle. Plug it in. Base is 9. Height is 4.5 divided by 2. Has anyone gotten the answer? 20.25 feet squared. Labels are super, super important. Feet squared. Any questions on the second page?
No.
Move on to the third page. Still, what were our directions telling us?
Right angle.
We're finding the area, okay? 19, what's the first thing we ask ourselves? What is it? What shape is it? Good guess. It is not a rhombus. If it was a rhombus, you would see diagonals cutting through the shape. It is not a rhombus. Parallelogram. Okay? Parallelogram, remember, is slanted a little bit. Okay? Parallelogram, I'm going to find it on my formula sheet. Does anyone remember what it is?
No.
Base times height. Nope, just base times height. So parallelogram and rectangle are similar. They're the same. Okay? Which value do we not care about? Why? Because of the right angle. Good. Base is 8. Height is 7. So what do we get for the area? 56 meters squared. Good. Okay, 20. What shape is it? Does it look pretty similar to 19?
Yeah.
It's a parallelogram. What's the formula for parallelogram?
Base times height.
Base times height. What value do we not care about? 8.7. So take 11.8 times 7.4. What do we get? 57.2.
No, 87.
87.32. Okay, label. There you go. Feet squared. $21. What do we ask ourselves first? What is it? What is it? What shape?
Rectangle.
Starts with a T. Trapezoid. How do you know if it's trapezoid?
Because it's triangle.
What does a trapezoid have?
4 sides.
It has 4 sides. What sets it away from a rectangle or parallelogram, though?
The base is,
There's those 2 bases. What's wrong with the other sides?
they're slanted.
They're slanted. They're not parallel to each other. Okay? So, for a trapezoid, what is the formula for a trapezoid? Does anyone remember?
Area equals.
It's the long one.
Plus base.
Yep. Height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Everyone write that down. If you didn't know that off the top of your head, where can you look? Formula sheet. Okay, find trapezoid, write that formula down. Now just plug in what you know. Which value do we not care about? 5.6. Why not? It's not with that right angle. Okay, what's the height? 5.2. What are my bases? 7 and?
1.8.
Yep. And then do not forget to divide by 2. Very common. Don't forget that last step. What do we do first? Add your bases. Yep, parentheses first. 7 plus 1.8. 8.8. What do we do next? Times 5.2. What do you get when you do that? 25.76. Thank you. Last step. Divide by 2. Don't forget that last step. What's the area? 22.8. What's the label? Good. Okay. If you had this part right here, but you got lost in the math somewhere, is that okay? Yes, as long as you have the right formula and you filled it out correctly. Okay, questions on the trapezoid formula? Okay, what do you notice about number 22? It's a trapezoid. So what formula are we using? That same thing. What's the height? 4. What are my bases? And? Good. We don't care about 4.7. Last step. Divide by 2. Okay, what was our first step? Parentheses, 6.9 plus 3.3. 10.2. Has anyone gotten their answer yet?
Yes.
What is it?
20.44.
20.4? There you go. Kilometers squared. Questions on any of the area formulas we went over? Okay? All right. What do you notice about these next set of directions? Yeah, you're given the area. You have to find the missing piece now. What do you still use? Still use the formulas. So ask yourself, what shape is it on 23? It's a parallelogram. What's the formula for a parallelogram? It is base times height. If you didn't know, where do you look? Formula sheet. Now, plug in what you know. Work from left to right. Do I know what A is?
Yeah.
What is it?
53.3.
53.3. Do I know what B is? Okay, 7.3 is the height. Do I know what the base is, though? No. So I just put B. Now it's algebra. I want to get B by itself. How do I get B by itself? Divide by 7.3. Base is what? 7.2? Is it 3?
Yeah, it's 3.
7.3 label?
Centimeters.
Centimeters. Why is it not squared this time?
That's not very much.
Because we're not finding area this time. Okay? 24, what shape is it?
It's a butterfly.
It's a square. What's the formula for area of a square?
Base times height.
Good. Plug in what you know. Do we know what A is?
Yeah.
What is it?
54.8.
54.8. What's the base?
7.2.
What's the height?
Don't
Don't know. What's my one step? Divide by 7.3. H equals 7.5 kilometers. Yep. Nice job. Moving on to 25. What shape is it? Rectangle. What's the formula for a rectangle? Base times height. Plug in what you know. 96 equals 12 times H. What's my one step? Divide by 12. H equals kilometers. Good. When I get to 26, can I just use area equals base times height? No, why not? Because it's a triangle. What's the area formula for a triangle? You got it. Base times height divided by 2. Still same process. Plug in what you know. What do we know?
48. 48.5.
48.5 equals
9.7.
9.7.
Divided by
Don't forget H up there. Divided by 2. Do not forget that divide by 2. Okay. What do I do first?
Want to do this divided by 2.
Not divide. I heard it though. Multiply by 2 on both sides. What do we get on the left side? 48.5 times 2? 97. What is left on the right side? What happens with those 2's? Right, they're gone. So we're left with 9.7 times H. We're left with that top part here. Last step is divide. What do we get for H? H equals 10 yards. Any questions on this third page? What do you notice about the last page?
Circles.
All circles. Okay, what else do you notice about the last page?
There are 2 questions that are just numbers.
How many sets of directions are there?
A lot. 4.
There's a lot of directions. Okay, what's going to be important when you get to this side?
Formulas and directions.
Right, because with circles, there's 3 different formulas that you got to choose from.
All of them use pi.
Okay, it tells you in the directions what to do. What does the first set of directions tell us?
Find the circumference of each circle.
Bingo, you don't even need to read any farther. Circumference. Okay, when you see the word for circumference, go find it on your formula sheet. Does anyone remember what the formula is?
It's like
It's
circumference.
2 pi r or pi r squared?
pi r squared.
Pi r squared.
Wait,
2
no.
pi r.
2 pi r.
That's the
Write that down right next to those directions. Write them down. Circumference equals 2 pi r. What's the only thing you need to know about the circle?
Oh, the
The radius, right?
Radius.
Plug in what you know on 27. We have circumference equals 2 pi r. What's radius? Radius is 2. When solving these, what do we do first? Multiply what?
2.
Multiply the numbers together first. Do pi last. So we have 4
Times
pi. Do we use 3.14 or do we use the pi button? Use the pi button. 4 times pi is?
12.56.
I heard 3 different things. There we go. Label.
Inches.
Why is it not squared?
We're not going for area.
We're not going for area. Circumference. What is circumference? Around the circle. Distance around. Yep. 28. Same thing. Circumference equals 2 pi r. What's the radius?
5.
5. What do we do first?
times times.
Yep. So we get 10 pi. Take 10 times pi. Remember, use the pi button in your calculator.
78.53 meters.
78.53 meters. Good.
Now we're going for area.
Questions with the circumference formula. Hey, if we have any questions with calculators, I will help you tomorrow. What is it?
It's 31.4.
Thank you. Okay. Moving down, what's the next set of directions say? Can we just move on and keep doing circumference? No, read directions. What does it say? Area. What's the area formula? 2 pi r or pi r squared? Pi r squared. Write it down. Right next to those directions. Write it down. Area equals pi r squared. Use the formula, plug in what you know. 29, we have pi r squared. What's the radius? 5 squared. What do we want to do first? 5 squared first. What does 5 squared mean? 5 times 5, not 5 times 2. 5 times 5, which is 25. What's 25 times pi?
30 or 78.5.
78.5. Is this what we were working on before? When we said 78.5? What's the label? Kilometers squared. Why is it squared now? Because it's area. Good. 30, same set of directions. What do we do? Yep. So we have 3 squared, which is 9 times pi. 28.2 what? Centimeters squared. Okay. Questions on area of a circle?
No.
We're on a new set of directions. Can I just keep going and skip over them? No. What is it asking for?
Find the diameter.
Find the diameter. Hey, what's the diameter of a circle? What's the diameter of a circle? That's a terrible circle. Let's try again. What's the radius?
The distance from the center.
From the center to the outside, what's the diameter?
Diameter is from both.
Diameter is the whole thing. Okay? So, if we're given the area of the circle, what formula can we use?
The same one. We just do it in reverse.
The area of the circle. What was that formula? You wrote it down.
2
You wrote it down.
2 pi r squared.
Don't mix
Pi r
them.
squared.
Pi r squared. Okay? Now, just like we were with the triangles and the rectangles and parallelograms, plug in what you know. Do we know A?
Yeah.
What is it? 88. Pi is pi. Do we know R? No. So you should have it filled out like that. That's half your credit right there if you get there. Okay? Now I want to solve for R. How can I get R by itself? Divide by. I want to get R by itself. Let's get rid of pi. Divide by pi on both sides. Type in 88 divided by pi in your calculator and leave it there. What'd you get?
28.81. I mean, 01.
28.01. Leave that in your calculator. What's left on the right side? R squared. What's the last step I need to do to get R by itself? Not divide by square. What's the opposite of a square?
Root.
Square root. Take the square root of both sides. So you want to take the square root of that 28.01.
5.29.
5.29. If we need help with calculators, I will walk around tomorrow and help you with those.
Oh, then
Okay?
we just times
But
two.
is that our answer?
No,
Why not?
it's the radius, not the diameter.
It's the radius. We want the diameter. How do I get from the radius to the diameter?
Times by 2.
Multiply by 2.
10.58.
So we get 10.58 good meters. Okay, reading directions is very important. Okay, let's try 32. What formula am I going to use?
Radius backwards. For area.
I'm going to use the area formula again. Plug in what you know. Do we know A?
Yeah.
154. Pi is pi. Do we know the radius? No. What steps do I use to find R? Divide by pi. What do you get when you divide by pi? Can you say that one more time? 49.01. What's left on the right side? R squared. What's my last step to get rid of it? Square root. So what do we get for the radius? 7? Okay, I'll round to 7. What do we want to find though?
Diameter.
Diameter. What do we need to do?
Times by 2.
Times by 2. So the diameter is 14
kilometers.
kilometers.
It would have actually just been 14 kilometers too, because the decimals are too small.
Mhm.
Math
What was
works out.
31 again?
Yep, I can go over. Now, can we keep using the same area formula when we get to 33?
No.
No. New set of directions. Read them. What does it say?
Find the area of each section.
Area of each sector. Find it on your formula sheet. It says area of sector. Follow that formula. Does anyone remember what it is?
It's something 180.
Write it off to the side.
Or 360.
So the area equals the measure of the sector.
Section. Divide by 360.
Yep. Divide by 360.
Or not 180. The
So that's the ratio of the sector compared to the whole thing. What are we multiplying it by?
7. Or not. 180. Pi r squared.
Pi r squared. We're multiplying it by the whole area of the circle. Because we're trying to find the portion of the area of that specific sector.
Oh, wait. Alright.
So it's the ratio times the whole area. Now, just plug in what you know. Okay, what's the measure of the sector on 33? 90 divided by 360. Yep, follow that formula. Times pi, what's the radius? 7 squared. Okay. When solving this, first of all, I just got to this point. How many points did I just get? Half. Okay. Solving it, what should we solve first?
Pi r squared.
Yep, solve the area first, pi r squared. So leave your ratio for now for the end. What's 49? It's 49. 7 squared is 49 times pi. Take 49 times pi. What's 49 times pi?
153.93.
So we get 90 divided by 360 times, what'd you say, Gabe?
153.93.
153.93.
You can make it simple multiplication.
Right.
By putting
What
it
do we
on
do
the-
next? Yep, you can think, put a 1 under it. Now just take that number in your calculator, times 90. What's the last step always? Dividing is always the last thing.
38.
So take 153.93 times 90 divided by 360. You can do that all at once in your calculator.
Final answer is 38.48.
38 point what?
48.
48. What is my label?
Yards, or is it degrees? Yards squared.
What are we looking for?
Area.
Area, so we need squared.
Okay, that's annoying.
Okay. Any questions so far? Let's do one more of those. Which one? 34, 35, or 36? 36. Okay. Follow your formula. What's the first thing we need to find? Measure of the sector. What is it? 210 divided by 360 times pi r, which is 13 squared. Good. What do I do first? 13 squared. Area equals, I'm going to rewrite everything so I don't lose it. What's 13 squared? 169 pi. What do I do next? What am I typing in my calculator next?
210 times 169.
Careful, don't forget you still have pi.
Oh.
So take 169 times pi. What do you get? 530 something? What do I do with that? Times it, then divide it. Times by 210, divide by 360. What do we get for area? 309 point. What's my label? Inches squared. Good. Any questions on the back side?